Something out of nothing, the culture grew from breaks. B-boys with fat laces helping DJs carry crates. 12 inches with the name covered up, 45 black with tape. Needle dropping on the get down part on the one, never late. Moonwalk look like skates, time is infinite like the 8. Built to destroy the devil's world, God body at the gate. In God we trust, the dollars we lust, catching crumbs off the cake. Now we bop to a beat on walls of concrete in Northern State. It was 88, we was victims of a scheme. It was all just a dream, but now my homie is a fiend. We live for the culture, but we kill for the cream. Trying to make the street light up, stay on your toes, Billie Jean.
How can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me?
It's like hip to the hibbit, flow liquid like exhibit. Here to create the culture with every breath as I live it. They try to prohibit, but I'm the master of the pivot. No gimmicks on point like a digit. I'm like Malcolm, ready to rock it. Get your hand out my pocket. Everybody the gatekeeper, but y'all forgot to lock it. Swear by culture freedom, I got more vice than substance Crockett. Now my boy Elroy, out to space like space's rockets. Truth be told, we was crushed from the cold. Niggas getting high off the dust from Sugar Hill. Now the truth gets sold with strippers on the pole. The light, just with rappers for the thrill. Get the rush from off one pill with flashes on the wheels. Singing white lines with my brothers and folding bills. Slinging white dimes when Uncle Joe wrote that bill. Around 94, fucking around with Hillary and Bill.
How can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me?
It was go and tell. Now y'all go and tell. Hop on the gram, look, show and tell. No ethics and no codes, just cut the pie a la mode. Spinning red whites now lights the block like a strobe. Behold, the pale horse that he rode. Here to bring death with guns to unload. Conspiracy to conspire, there's a theory on the wire. When Cohen is a priest whose doctrine is the liar. Here to rob the hood, I keep it tucked like the friar. Grew into a man following rappers I admire. No more b-boys in the cypher, no more DJs catching breaks. And everybody in the trap with 45s wrapped in tape. The culture has been raped, pimped out, and straight flooded. Just like the Bronx in the 70s, everything gutted. Crusted, rusted, busted and disgusted. We should've shut it down when Chuck said not to trust it.
How can you justify what you've taken culturally? You love to lie, to hide the truth. Do you really think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're me? Think you're, oh yeah. Think that you can do what I think that you can do what I do. You think that you can do what I do. You think that you can do what I do. Tell me, do you think you're me? Tell me, do you think you're me? You know you ain't me.
What's up, my good people? This is your boy Hakim Green, Channel Live and Direct. BDP all day, every day. All we do is spark madism. And yeah, that's what we're doing. It's the Hakim Green Show, where we discuss politics, culture, music, tech. We keep the conversation going. Try to keep you tapped in from a hip hop point of view, from a hip hop perspective. Always, you already know what it is. Big shout out to Vita in the background.
being the producer that she is, the phenomenal producer that she is, making this thing go. We definitely appreciate her. Want to send a big shout out to Jazz It Up, who does all my art, graphic design, keeps me looking funky fresh, logos, all that shit. You know what I mean? Jazz It Up. Check her out at jazzitup.com if you need some graphic design work. Trust me, you will not go wrong hooking up with Jazz. For sure, for sure. Also want to give a big shout out to HBC Outdoors, who provides, my threads. I got the merch going over on madisminc.com, madisminc.com. Also, hakimgreen.com, HAKIMGREEN.com, or MADIZMINC.com. Takes you to the same place. But we got a lot going on over there. New music. Also got merch. Big shout out to Cool Brand, who handles my Madism movement. Big shout out to him and my folks over at Cool Brand. Higher frequency. But you see over here at Madism Inc., we got the merch, the baseball tees, muscle tees, regular tees. We got the gold foil shirts. And of course, we always promoting, don't sell your ass. Do not sell your ass. Don't sell your ass. And I think we have so many examples of the downside of selling your ass. We don't have to rehash those topics on this show. Though, considering the political climate in today's world, we see a lot of pop stars, MCs selling that ass. So we might have to, reiterate that message during the course of the show. Don't sell your ass. But all we do is spark Madism. Make sure you hop over to madisminc.com and get yours today while supplies last. We got the sweatshirts, the hoodies, the tees. Got it all over there. You want to smoke in style, go see your boy Hakim Green at hakimgreen.com. Also, MADIZMINC.com. Also, let me remind you, man, like, share, hit the bell on YouTube, subscribe. So when we go live, when it's happening. So you're tuned in, locked in. Like, share, subscribe, give me some energy. We trying to expand this channel. We trying to expand this programming. We trying to reach as many people as possible. So bring people into the Hakim Green Show fold, the Madism fold. And we're going to keep the folks right and exact with how we cover news, commentating, illustrating, description giving, adjective expert. I'm so deep. What we got, Vita? Shabuzi. Shabuzi once again, adding on to his Grammy collection, making an impact. And he chose to stand up for others than himself. Let's tap in.
Thing I want to say, immigrants built this country, literally. So this is for them, for all children of immigrants. This is also for those who came to this country in search of better opportunity, to be a part of a nation that promised freedom for all and equal opportunity to everyone willing to work for it. Thank you for bringing your culture, your music, your stories, and your traditions here. You give America color. I love y'all so much. Thank you. And again, the last thing I want to say.
Now, I'm going to salute Shabuzi, because it takes courage to step out for others, especially when, in this, how extreme the right wing is, how openly racist they're being, how openly xenophobic they're being, how openly anti everything progressive they are being. In this climate, it takes some courage to make statements like he made when we juxtapose him against Jelly Roll, who, used Black culture hip hop to elevate his own career and then kind of bail on us and then really go full right wing, full MAGA. You know, when you hear his message at the Grammys, you see what Shabuzi did. You know, it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of courage. I want to applaud him. However, I want to make a correction. Black people built America. Black people, otherwise known as African Americans, Negroes, niggas for some, coloreds, you know, our ancestors forced over here in chains, forced over here as slaves, their creativity, their intellect, their knowledge, their resource stolen and stripped from them, exploited as chattel slaves. Our ancestors built America, whether they're the ancestors or whether we're talking about the descendants of chattel slaves or we're talking about the descendants of, you know, quote unquote, foundational Black Americans. I don't want to get into that whole debate, but there are a lot of us who are deemed Negro, Black, and colored who can trace their ancestry prior to white people coming here, Europeans coming here. All that said, there's a great body of us who are descendant from folks who weren't immigrants. We did not choose to help the European, you know, build this thing called the United States of America. We were forced to help build it, and build it we did, to the point where, you know, America became an economic powerhouse well before many of the immigrant populations came over. So, you know, I want to, you know, stay right and exact. You know, enough respect to Shabuzi in that statement. I'm gonna big him up, using his platform at the Grammys to kind of shine some light on the oppressed. I'm always down with the underdog. I'm always down with standing with people who are oppressed in the immigrant community. Definitely Black and brown immigrant community is oppressed, as well as our people, the descendants of African chattel slaves and foundational Black Americans. Absolutely. I find unity with the immigrant community, but I don't ever want to get it twisted. You know, I don't want to ever take away credit from our people, my people. Let's set the table the right way and invite everybody to eat once we, you know, set the table the right way. You know, I know Vita, you had something else that you had put up on the screen. Man, Danette, Live, Love, Life says, you're a prime example of why some Blacks need to be educated on our history in America. How dare you, as Shabuzi, claim that immigrants built this country? Native Americans were slaughtered and enslaved, and Africans were brought here as chattel to do the bidding of white men. Blacks were building America before immigration. Shame that you, a Black man, made a vile and incorrect statement on such a public platform. And then Rosh Elliott's goes, this kind of broke me. Shabuzi said, you give America color. Last night used his Grammy speech as a way to uplift immigrants all over America. Okay, you know, we get it. And, you know, I definitely, the sentiment of what those two comments project, I'm definitely with it. But the way they're saying it, you know, I would take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit, give the brother just a little bit of grace. In that, you know, being caught up in the moment, watching everything that's going on with ICE right now, watching people get murdered. Not to say that our people aren't steadily getting shot down in the street by police. You know, we've seen the legacy of the paddy rollers, which were the slave catchers that would later form into America's first police departments. We never want to lose sight of that and forget that. But considering what we're going through in these current times, using that Grammy platform to raise awareness around the immigrant struggles, you know, I can feel that. I can identify with that. I can support that. However, Shabuzi, let's get it right. Is a way to give that speech without dismissing, you know, our people who have sacrificed so much so that immigrants can come over here and take advantage of the American dream, which to me is way overrated. You know, we talk about what the dream is really a nightmare, but fuck around and find out. You know what I mean? He should have asked black people, for our opinion, again, set the table the right way before you start serving the meal. Yeah, Vita, what we got next? Billionaire bonfire, layoffs gut, Washington Post, entire teams erased, ex-editor torches Bezos, sickening and gutless, the Washington Post, the bloodbath by the numbers, latest updates by Nancy Guthrie search, Bezos selling out our country, Catherine O'Hara tribute, and more. And I'm gonna go to the phone because I have some notes on this, specifically some numbers that I want to share with you guys. Thank you, Vita, for providing me with right and exact information. But if you get into this article on the Huffington Post, it goes into Washington Post basically laying off thousands of people in many departments at their Washington Post is, I gotta be careful how I say this, because we talk about mainstream media in America. There really is no left-leaning mainstream media, but there are certain platforms, certain news sources that tend to be more well-rounded in their coverage, right-wing versus left-wing. And the Washington Post historically has been one of those papers, even though kind of everything in America sits right of center. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. We'll have some expert to discuss all that with you. That said, Jeff Bezos, he's in bed with the Trumpster, and he's going to do what Donald Trump finds necessary, which is unfortunate for the American people, because when it comes to American freedoms and protecting them, freedom of the press is first and foremost. And when our press vehicles have been compromised, we can't really trust the news out there. We already know what social media is doing to us on that front, with all the fake news that has been given credence, alternative news that's been given credence. Actually, we should dig into how in the Epstein files, it appears that the founder and creator of 4chan, which is a right-wing news source, if you want to call it news, the founder of that had a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein the day before 4chan was started. So we're seeing that, these right-wing vehicles were set up by the powers that be, the deep state and the Illuminati, and, these platforms of liberal and progressive opposition, is monetarily founded by, allegedly, the same dude who was involved in human trafficking, Jeffrey Epstein. So, when you look at the Washington Post, the New York Times, the, LA Times, these big, news sources, we need somebody that represents the people's voice, not corporate voice. And it seems as if Jeff Bezos has sold us all out. That said, Washington Post, here's a look by the numbers. Amazon MGM Studios spent on the rights to Melania, the movie, $40 million. Once again, Washington Post is a Jeff Bezos operation, as well as Amazon. Amazon is, what Amazon is. I ain't got to go into it. But Amazon gave MGM Studios, or they spent $40 million on the Melania movie. They caught a brick. Amount Amazon MGM spent marketing Melania, $35 million. Okay, we $75 million in the can right there just with Melania's movie. Reporters laid off while in the middle of a war zone. At least one. We're at war right now. We're heading to war. We got Venezuela going on. You got the crisis in Iran with Israel, and us being baited to support Israel in this war against Iran. We need all of the news, correspondents, researchers, journalists. We need all of them well-financed, well taken care of, so we can get the real deal Holyfield with what's happening in the Middle East and around the world. Washington Post is laying people off. The amount of sports department remaining, none of it. So we can't get any real journalism as it has to do with sports. Reporters and editors in India and Australia, all laid off. India is a very important country when we think of BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that's the financial conglomerate that was created by those countries, India being one of them. You would think that Washington Post would want to have a correspondent in India to get the on the ground in India, talk about BRICS and how these different countries are maneuvering against the American, way of life. I guess not when it comes to Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos's yacht costs $500 million. The median salary of a Washington Post employee is $99,904, which in today's mathematics is probably 25 grand. And with the rate of inflation adjusted for the price of groceries, 99,000 really doesn't take you that far. But for many of those folks, that's a zero now because of the layoffs. Estimated cost of Lauren Sanchez's wedding dress was 300 grand. I think that's Bezos's new wife. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vita. I don't be keeping up like that with Jeff Bezos. I know he's going to space and doing all types of space missions. And, he's one of the richest, probably top 5 richest people in the world. He's worth, $245 billion, billion with a B. He's worth $245 billion. Like when you're worth $245 billion, it doesn't hurt you to be worth $244 billion. Just doesn't. It doesn't hurt you. Like to keep the Washington Post running for the sake of America and free press, I want to take my 245. Let me invest another $1 billion in my company to keep the newspaper running because American people need the news and need a good source of information. No, I guess it wasn't worth the investment, Jeff Bezos. Word is Jeff Bezos and Washington Post publisher Will Lewis have devoted to addressing the cuts. 0. So they're not even talking about it. They're just firing people, letting them go, and keeping it moving. Last reported annual loss of the Post, $100 million, and which is a lot of money. $100 million is a lot of money, but $100 million is nothing compared to $245 billion. That's like me being worth what I'm worth. Losing $1. You know what I mean? Like my wife, Hakim, can you get a scratch ticket for me? Just $1. You got any singles on you? And I'm like fussing over $1. Oh, come on, baby, $1 for the scratch ticket? Okay. That's what $100 million is worth to Jeff Bezos. That's like a scratch ticket for him. That's like whatever. All right, drop in the bucket. Just crazy, man. But the American people have to band together. We got to organize. We have to fight. We have to press. We have to push back against the corporate capitalist class. The financial elite seems to have us in a twist. The further we get into these Jeffrey Epstein files, the more we realize how twisted this nation is. Not just this nation, but the world is in relationship to the 1%, the billionaire class. There's a post I sent you earlier, Vita, about billionaires should be looked upon as evil. Like there's a mental illness associated with having that much money. To be able to hoard $1 billion is sickening. That's really what it is. You're hoarding money. You're hoarding resources that should be funneling through our economy. The working class people should share in the spoils. You're able to get this mega rich because of the labor force that you've been exploiting for how many years, whether it's Washington Post or Amazon or Whole Foods, the truckers, the drivers, the maintenance folks, the agent. Like so much goes into Jeff Bezos's $245 billion, billion with a B, that, we have to start looking out for our own interests. When I say that we, I mean the labor force, the labor class in this country. And we see like with technology making a lot of our labor obsolete and not needed. This is kind of where they're moving. They're looking to replace human capital. I've always said, always maintained, the most important resource is human resource. So as a nation, we should always look to investing in human beings, because that's where the answers are going to come from. Any problem, any issue that we have as a nation, as a people, as a global population, The answer is going to come from people. Even if you say, oh, we got AI or we got smart computers and we got yeah, but it took people to come up with these ideas. It took people to create this. I know my brother Ron shared with me earlier this week how the first couple of AI platforms were invented, created by African Americans. Like, we laid the foundation. We came up with the math and the science that, and I say we, that's right, we take credit. All of us did. These people come from us. They represent us, whether we know it or not. These are our people, our ideas, our resources that we're giving over to these others who are then making billions and billions of dollars and figuring out ways to get rid of human beings. And that's just a bad thing. And, we have to push back. Times are dire right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really dire. And the pushback has to be strong and swift and effective. And that said, it takes organization to make all of that happen. So we got to get to organizing. Free press is a very important part of organizing, being able to get credible information, unbiased information, actual factual information, not information that's leaning towards a political agenda. And as we see Jeff Bezos being in bed with the Trump family, with the Trump administration, we can't really now trust what we get from the Washington Post. So that's my spiel on the Washington Post. Let's get it together, Jeff Bezos. Oh, Lord. Gaddafi's son found dead, what this means for Africa and why leaders must act now. Now, everybody's familiar or should be familiar with General Muammar Gaddafi, who was murdered in 2011 by Western allied forces. Muammar Gaddafi was a extremely important person pushing the unification of Africa and, protecting Africa's resources. And that just got in the way of too many things. Now, I saw his daughter was being, she was receiving some troubles from the French government. And now it's been reported that Gaddafi's son has been found dead. Let's roll the tape.
Gaddafi's son has reportedly been assassinated. It's been stated that gunmen stormed his home with no warning. Guys, if this is true, Libya isn't just grieving, it's up for grabs. Let's not forget Libya holds the largest oil reserves on the continent. 48 billion barrels, more than Nigeria, more than Algeria. Listen, Saif al-Islam wasn't just a name. He was the comeback plan. Polling second in 2021, tribal backing, deep legacy, wanted by the ICC, but still one of the few names that could hold Libya together. And now he's gone. Gone just as the US and France re-entered quiet talks with the goal to compete with Nigeria because Nigeria wasn't playing ball, to crown a new oil titan in Africa. So if we're talking motives, think oil access, asset control, gold reserves. The IMF said Libya could hit 100 billion GDP by 2027 if it stabilized, but it hasn't. Italy's chasing gas, China's iron infrastructure, Russia's Wagner still lurking, UAE and Turkey fund rival militias, and the West silent on camera and active off fit. No leader, no elections, just chaos. And chaos makes access easier. If this was a hit, it wasn't personal, it was strategic, because Libya isn't unstable by accident. Instability is leverage, and if Libya falls deeper, it's not just Libya that loses. Nigeria and Algeria lose pricing power. Niger, Chad, Sudan feel the fallout. More migrants, more violence, more foreign support. This is how they move. One vacuum, one death, one quiet deal, then it's gone. Contract by contract, barrel by barrel. And if France and the US take this, it's not just a regional win, it's global leverage. Energy dominance shifts back to the West. BRICS loses ground, China gets blocked, Africa gets undercut. So what's the solution? Not another press release, not another empty African Union statement. This needs a real energy alliance led by Nigeria, Algeria, Angola, and Egypt. Top producers, real leverage, a united bloc that sets red lines. No foreign contracts without regional consultation. No coups ignored when resources are in play. Diplomatic pressure backed by defense agreements. Continental oil isn't just a product, it's a power source. And if Africa doesn't defend it, someone else will own it. The continent is in play, and the silence, if it comes, will be a decision. Let's talk in the comment section. What are your thoughts here, man? Listen.
Yeah, it's really deep right now. It's really bad. So when Libya was toppled in 2011, You know, I had kind of been ringing the bell for a couple years on that on social media. You know, our activity on social media wasn't as organized as it is these days, but just using my personal page, you know, I was keenly aware of what was going on in Libya to some degree. Let me not present myself as like a an expert on, you know, global geopolitics in Africa. I'm not going to do that. We're going to bring people on to actually have these discussions so we can get the truth of the matter and we can get to the root of the matter. But that said, when Libya was toppled in 2011, I knew it was going to bring this. It was going to. The goal was to destabilize it. We saw immediately slave labor pop off in Libya, where Arab descendants were enslaving African descendants. And I say slavery, I mean really kidnapping, human trafficking, forcing people to do work at gunpoint. There was massacres and murders, and it was, I mean, it's been going on since 2011. Here it's 2026. So, you know, it's 15 years. We see that, you know, Libya was taken off the map politically for a reason. And that reason had a lot to do with not just Muammar Gaddafi, but the organizations that he was able to inspire, you know, the healthcare to all citizens, free housing for all citizens, free education for all citizens, free healthcare for all citizens, using this oil resource as a way to feed the people. The resources belong to the people, so you invest in the people, and that's how you make a healthy country, a healthy nation, a healthy people, is by investing in them. That's what Muammar Gaddafi did, and wanted to serve as a example of what the rest of Africa could be. And he was encouraging and inspiring other African leaders to sign off to this idea of the African Union. And he was making a lot of headway, and that bothered Western powers, French, United States, and others. Got rid of him. And now the talk is that his son has been assassinated, which symbolically is a very big blow. Symbolically, and again, I'm not going to present myself as an expert. The level of organization that I would assume he got from his dad, the networks that he was able to tap into because of his dad, probably made him an extremely dangerous person to Western powers. We see we are right now. She mentioned BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's an economic conglomerate of nations who organize themselves so they could challenge the dollar. They could create a currency that could stand against the dollar on the world scene. And you heard her mention BRICS, and BRICS' interest in the resources of, I mean, you gotta keep it real. South Africa and Africa is where the resources of the world come from. You know what I'm saying? Everything from food to cell phones. Without Africa and South America, like the globe becomes a very impoverished place. So the northern countries, the Americas, the Great Britons, the French, the Germans, you know, the Italians, the Spanish, the Russians, the Chinese look to exploit Africa and Africans and South Americans and South America. That's been an ongoing kind of story historically, is the North's oppression of the South. And with Africa waking up, technology allowing Africa to have a voice and Africa to communicate with the rest of the world and have a platform, Africa is becoming an extremely powerful place. And, you know, Libya having its own history of, you know, fighting back against the powers that be. The states, the West, they need a disabled Libya. They need a disabled Libya. So it's just something to watch out for, something to pay careful attention to as we have all these other conversations about Iran, of course, Israel and Palestine, and the rest of the world. Libya is going to play a huge point. So pay attention to that. We'll have more information as it develops. Also, we'll have some political experts to come on here and actually dig in talk about these specific locations and their effect on the global population. Well, we got Vita. Uh-oh.
And you were on trial for stealing an apple from Walmart. If you stole an apple from Walmart and you were on trial for stealing an apple from Walmart, is every person in your phone an accomplice?
Melissa. If Johnny had 5 apples, girl, you could have kept this. The way y'all rush.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so Lizzo. Sometimes it's always a saying, it's better to say nothing and have people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. It's one of them times. It's better to say nothing, Lizzo, especially with your personal history. And it's not to say that you're guilty of anything. What happens, happens. People live and they learn, right? But considering your particular experiences, stay away from the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell conversation. And why do we always feel the need not all of us, of course, but there's always some of us that feel the need to run cover from white folks. These particular white folks is even beyond, like, they don't even look at white people as the same. Like, these people do not care about you at all. They don't care about you at all. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care about your loved ones. Why do you feel the need to hop on the internet and run cover for them? Makes no sense. Absolutely makes no sense. We just got, I think, as a people, learn to play our position. Play our position. And, like someone said earlier, unless you in the files, are you trying to tell us something, Lizzo? What's really going on? We gonna do some digging and you gonna come up. Don't say nothing at all. Like, let them catch their own bricks. It's an old music industry lesson I had to learn the hard way. Let people catch their own bricks. Sometimes you gotta let people catch their own bricks, yo. You can't save them from themselves. Don't you go out there trying to catch bricks for them. All right, Lizzo, keep it moving, hun.
Scooby-Doo meme where, they pull the mask off the bad guy. Well, the mask is being pulled off, and Make America Great Again isn't really about America or the American people. It's not about the American people.
How did Trump fall into that trap? I mean, it seemed like he was so, leading the charge with MAGA, and he was going to be the one draining the swamp. And instead, he's definitely become a giant swamp creature, the leader of the swamp at this point. But somebody's got to be influencing him, or people around him have to be convincing him that going to war with Iran is the right thing to do, which is totally and completely insane.
Well, I question that myself, knowing I know the president, worked with him for quite a few years, traveled with him, campaigned with him, visited him, talked with him on the phone, text message with. I mean, I know the president. I don't know. People always think, oh, it's his staff. They want to blame everyone around him. There may be a point where people have to come to grips with this is Donald Trump.
Yeah, man. The problem I have, and the thing that bothers me the most is that Donald Trump has been Donald Trump his whole life. He didn't get new. He didn't switch up. He didn't, he's been Donald Trump his entire life. Who he is in all his negativity has been on full blast for my adult life. And then from what I read back in the early 70s, he had issues, outward issues of racism toward the African American community. And then when you read about his father and his father's real estate dealings in Coney Island and how the African American community was so damaged through those real estate deals. And that's a whole nother topic. We need to actually show that video, Vita, and then get into it. That's for another time. But just the history of Donald Trump and, who he's been, the Central Park Five. We know about that. We know about, just his grab him by the pee. That should have been a nail in the coffin for him. Like, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Ave and nothing. That should have been a nail in the coffin. Like, I love the poorly uneducated. That should have been a nail in the coffin. So all of these people who are now surprised or who have now come onto the other side or realize, oh my God, he turned out to be exactly who he's always been. That's just bothersome for me. It's like, now that, you're personally affected or, something happened to you. Oh my God, now I realize, I see what it is. I didn't know. Your character has to be called into question because you co-signed a lot of negativity from, him mocking the disabled person, the handicapped person, and him disparaging of vets and people who've given them their lives. Like, he's every sector of America: white, black, immigrant, women, men, gay community, straight community, politicians. Like, he's disrespected everybody. Everybody. He let everybody know from the gate, yeah, you could get it too. And everybody's like, give me more, give me more. I want more, I want more. And now here we are. And, everybody sees the results of it. And how do we, after watching it for 40, 50 years, you've seen him at the party with Epstein getting it in. You've seen him getting it. Like, we watched him do it. We saw him do it. It wasn't a secret that he was rocking with Epstein. None of that's a secret. It's how come it wasn't framed that way in his first run? Like, what was that about? Why we just look past him saying he's encouraging another man to sexually assault women. He said that to him. He said, no, you could do it. You could do it too when you're famous. And you'll get away with it. I do it all the time. How do you go past that point? What was it? Did they hit us with the hypnotism? Did they hit us with what was the program that they hit people with? This is beyond Republican, Democrat. It's beyond that. It's beyond conservative, progressive. It's just way beyond that. And as we see with the Epstein files, it's way beyond that. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think it's an important look that she pivoted. I think that's important to see, but it's important to analyze and ask why and how we got to this point and why now and what's your end goal? We have to have those types of conversations and analysis going into this because, I just did this song called Commentary, and, it touches on just the reality that we're in, where real is unreal. Like, what you see is not what you see. The whole idea of alternative news and fake news and creating a space where alternative facts can actually exist, that destables everything. That makes everything unstable. Nobody believes anything anymore. Everything is questionable. So we spend all of our time questioning something as opposed to acting on a plan, acting on something. The minute we, come up with a plan, you get the conspiracy theory now becomes the real shit. And the real shit becomes the conspiracy theory. And it's a crazy time we're living in. Seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene, shake the Trump tree. That's kind of weird in a way. Takes a bit getting used to. But like I say about a lot of things, at the end of the day, it's about the work. And let's see what she does in her newfound, awakening, Yeah, Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Melania. Is that Melania? You know, he be flipping and bouncing. I don't know who that is right there. But you know, I'm the conspiracy theory Don Dada. And for 30 plus years, I've been, you know, digging into some things that were told to me. Oh, that's conspiracy theory. Oh, that's conspiracy theory. Come on, Hawk, you gotta. Come on, Hawk. I don't even fuck with them conspiracy theories. And I kind of feel that. I get that. Go down a rabbit hole. You Alice in Wonderland, you chasing the rabbit. You know what I mean? I get that. I understand that. Again, everything unstable. Reality's unreality. I get that. I got that. So I try to look for stability. And then even these niggas is wrapped up in some bullshit. The Clintons. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we see Bill's name going all through there. You know, the fact that Epstein could even exist on that level for so long, and these people don't know what's going on. Nobody knows. And if you know, at that level of the game, you're not going to do nothing about it. You're not going to say nothing. You're not going to hit. You're just basically going to play the left until it shakes itself out. That's interesting. Back to free press, back to Bezos, back to real journalism, back to people having the ability and the resources to dig into a story to reveal the truth. And again, this is just a big cesspool. Big cesspool. All right, Vita, what we got? Wow, you know what? So I saw the apology. He apologized to the African-American community. He apologized to the Jewish community about his rantings and his ravings for a number of years. I definitely personally was insulted and upset by some of the things he said. I said before that when Van Lathan checked him on TMZ, that was great. That was great to see. What's even more interesting is that, what's his face? What's his name, Vita? From TMZ. What's his name? What's his name? TMZ.
Harvey.
Harvey. What's his last name? Levin. Harvey Levin. He was up in the Epstein files. You know what I mean? So it's again, TMZ becomes the source for all things news. You know, we're not paying attention to, you know, MSNBC. We're not paying attention to CNN. Not to say we should be. I'm not promoting their platform. I'm not promoting it, even though I rock with Rachel. I rock with Lawrence. I rock with them, even though, you know, again, it's still mainstream media, represents the corporate machine, all that. So I got that perspective. Got it. But yeah, you know, it's just, you know, it's just great. Anyway, TMZ. But everybody's going to TMZ. That's what we getting out there. This dude ends up in the Epstein files, but then you anti these niggas, but you go to these niggas to get your shit off. It don't make sense. Like it's nonsensical. If you're that much against this thing, how do you find yourself on their platforms giving anyway? So he apologized. It's about the work. I say that all the time with everything. You know, it's about the work and doing the work in a real way. And at the end of the day, that's all we judge you by. The work. What you say is what you say. Okay. He's a phenomenal artist. He's one of the greatest of my era, of this era, undoubtedly. I just don't want to hear anything political from him. I want him to get him right. And he said he had the best show of the year. Salute to him. You know, Kanye's music is always exciting to dig into. He misses the mark. Sometimes he misses the mark. But, you know, Kanye dropped the best show of 2026 and the year just started. All right, well, let's see where this goes. You know, it's Kanye. It's Ye. I mean, he's said a lot of destructive things in his life. But he apologized. Let's see the work. I know artistically he got that work. So yeah, I know that's probably gonna be right and exact. Yeah. Is this why he apologized? Oh, great question, Vita. Is this why he apologized? I mean, listen, when you're making that level of money, when you're generating that level of income, you got to keep it going. You know, you got to keep it going. So when the shows aren't happening, you're being banned in arenas and people aren't trying to pick up your content, yeah, that might be some encouragement to get up on your knees and be like, all right, listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Definitely. But I also think that, you know, I do know folks close to Kanye. I know Kanye personally. I'm not best friends with him. I don't rock with him like that. But when we see each other, there's a mutual respect that's always been. You know, I would think that the people around him, now that he's at this point, can kind of guide him. Hopefully he's more open to guidance from the people that I know, you know, have his best in mind and are rooted in just a certain level of awareness, cultural awareness, racial awareness, where he could take his cues from these people because, you know, they're on it. But, you know, with him having the mental situation going, you know, that's kind of first and foremost, that takes, you know, precedence over every other thing. And I do believe that's a real thing for him. I think that he does have some issues mentally, and a lot of that is because he's expressing mental instability. He's got to work on himself, and he got to get himself right. And hopefully this just is a positive step in a positive direction and not just, you know, the Fugazi, the 52 fake out. I got mine. Ha, ha, ha. I got you again. You know, but we'll see. It's about the work at the end of the day. It's all about the work, you know. So, man. So, fame is a really weird place. You know, when you're famous, especially to the level of Serena Williams, Venus Williams, the Williams family. When you get on a certain level of fame, everybody pays attention. Everybody's watching you. You're judged, constantly being judged, constantly being critiqued. And that's a very difficult space to be in, especially as a Black person. I think I'm not a Black woman, so I can't speak for Black women, but I can imagine for Black women, especially this world that is so whitewashed and so the European standard of beauty and standard of acceptance. It's a difficult space to navigate when you're naturally the opposite of what the standard is. That's just a hard place to be in. And then, you know, little Black girls, they ran the, not just Black girls, but Black boys as well. The experiments back in the 60s where they would line up Black children and they would give them white dolls and Black dolls. And, you know, most of the time, if not all of the time, the children would choose the white doll and say that the white doll was prettier and that the Black doll was bad. The Black doll came from bad circumstances. And, you know, like that's a program that's a part of the American experience for African American, Black people, Negroes, coloreds, Moors, whatever we're calling ourselves today. That's a part of our experience that, you know, people don't appreciate and respect. And Serena, you know, being a billionaire, being married to a white man who is, you know, I think he's the owner and founder of Reddit. You know, that puts you in a certain place that not many of us can ever really truly relate to. You know, I love my Blackness and my high yellow self. I understand why some of us don't call ourselves Black. I get that. Totally understand that. I can relate to that. no doubt, no doubt. When we talk about phenotypically, when we talk about what we project, when you see Blackness in all of its beauty, it's intimidating for white Americans. Shit rocks their world, especially white women. You got a voluptuous, Serena Williams, back in the day, Serena Williams, come out of Compton, California, representing blackness, beautiful blackness. And now we see her like this, representing more of a European, aesthetic. I don't know why she got there or how she got there. There's been rumors that, she's on that Ozempic, the O. She's an athlete. So I'm sure she works out. She still trains. I'm sure she eats right. Said not sure she even looks like a winner. I'm glad to see that in this picture, her skin complexion looks black, because there's been some pictures that we've seen of her, some video we've seen of her, where it was like, did she get the Sammy Sosa? I was like, oh man, come on, man, she got the Sammy Sosa. And then she looked like she got the regular nose. She don't look like she got no work on her nose. From the picture right here on the right-hand side, she just looks mad thin, relative to what we know her as. But I don't know how she got there. I hope whatever she's doing, she's healthy, physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy. I just, would also wish that she would give us more of the blackness. I know now that I see that, my wife always goes, oh, no, it's makeup, Hakim. I'm like, nah, she got the nose done. She got cut up. Oh, nah, Serena, don't let them chop you up like that. Don't do it. And my wife is like, no, I'm telling you, it's makeup. It's the way they shade the makeup makes her, it looks like da-da-da-da-da. And from here, she looks just like she just lost mad weight. Hold on, Vita says she sent me some notes. Let me see what she's talking about. Okay. Yeah, okay, I see her working out. She got the six-pack. But she looked like a black woman, though. She still got the same nose. Her face looks slender. I don't know if that's from an operation. I don't know if she got her jaw worked on. But her face, and mind you, the picture that I'm looking at, she's got the all black on, got the black top, black bottom. She's in the gym with the workout behind her. She looks healthy to me here. She doesn't look unhealthy, and she looks black. She got the same black nose, same black lips, same black complexion. She don't look like, well, maybe she had a tan right here. She looks a little darker here. But, she don't look like she got the Sammy Sosa. Big shout out to Sammy Sosa. And I got the other picture. Yeah, she brought like this. She looks like her mom. Yeah, she look like a little itty bitty thing. She ain't got that same Serena Williams. She ain't got the badunka no more, y'all. She definitely got rid of the badunka. She ain't got the hips. I don't know if she. I'm trying to look at the roundness in her hips. Did she do something to her hips? Well, she's just training real hard. I don't know. I don't know. People say it sends the wrong message. I don't know about that, because health. So like diabetes is real, y'all. But diabetes is really real. And you can be slender and be diabetic. I know, because I've been diagnosed pre-diabetic. And when you look at me, you say, how is that even possible? So I get that part of it, right? But when you're in the health and wellness space, when you're training, constantly training, your benchmarks, what you're doing to motivate yourself and how you make yourself feel and how you want to look. It's like almost like you're crafting yourself in the gym. That's how people who train look at it. I don't know if she's had operations though. Whatever she's doing to stay fit, if you're healthy, keep rocking out. Carrying this much weight on her, I don't know. I mean, how do you have to eat to carry that much weight on you? You know, encourages people to take drugs for weight loss instead of healthy options. But I don't know if she's taking drugs though. I don't know that. Do we know that for sure? She is. Oh well, yeah, okay. Well, if we know for sure, then nah. You know, I know people that I work out with who I could tell if they didn't work out every single day, it would be a totally different story. Like they train very specific. But if you're saying that it's actual fact that she's using drugs, you know, be healthy. You know, again, I can't. It's they be saying Braun is on PEDs. Yeah, I mean? And I'm like, jokers be healthy though, like heart healthy, liver healthy. You're healthy. You want to look a certain way. I mean, I don't know. Are you healthy? I guess I get it. You know, it's good to see a healthy black badunkadunk, but at 55 years old, that's not healthy. At 60 years old, that's not healthy. That's the thing. Like taking drugs, steroids, and stuff like that. Nah, that's whack. You know, anything that's gonna disrupt your. But if you're taking like, you know, I mean, I don't know. Let me not start throwing stuff I don't know. But there are enhancements that people use that are not unhealthy. You know, if it's Ozempic, I don't know. People use that for diabetes. Like looking at her right here on the left-hand side. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, but you know, as you get older, I don't know. I can't call this one. No, we're gonna get a health and wellness specialist. We're gonna get somebody who's into the science of it on the Hakim Green Show, and we're gonna discuss Serena Williams, her transformation, and other athletes who go through, you know, natural, unnatural means to achieve their goals. And just have a more informed conversation. But whatever works for any individual at the end of the day, you know, and you got to do what you got to do. Just be healthy about it at the end. Yeah, y'all. So this is the Hakim Green Show. Before I get off of here, I want to remind you, I need you guys to hit up HakimGreen.com, HakimGreen.com, and also hit up MADISMInc.com, MADIZM. And we also got 24 hours of peace.com. I need y'all to hit that up, 24HRS of peace, INC.com. You know, that's how you keep up to the Hakim Green's doings, 24 hours of peace work. That's also important. So yeah, that said, you know, I'll catch y'all on the next one. The Hakim Green Show is out. Peace, Vita.